Good morning. Today we'll talk about dyslexia. Dyslexia is a specific learning disorder and it's neurological in origin. It's characterized with accurate or fluent word recognition. Students have trouble recognizing words and they have trouble with fluency because their main issues with dyslexia are being able to decode words, and that hurts them and they're not able to have fluent reading skills because they're struggling with decoding skills. Students also struggle with spelling words and seeing words in print, and this also affects students' reading comprehension. Dyslexia was first talked about in the 1800s, in 1877, by Dr. Adolf Kussmaul. He said that dyslexia was a blindness disease. And then in 1887, Rudolf Bedlin, he was another doctor who talked about dyslexia and saying dyslexia was reading challenges and it was from a disability. So we don't have much more information about dyslexia until the 1960s. And in the 1960s, there was a consensus definition, and two doctors opened up what is called the World Blindness Center. And these two doctors really wanted to put dyslexia on the map. There were many other doctors, neurologists, psychiatrists, people who were studying patients with dyslexia who were a part of this research. And they all came together and there was a lot of research done. In actually the 1970s, there was a big boom in research with dyslexia. And that's when we get a lot more information about dyslexia. It's called a turning point in the 1970s. And Dr. Sandhya Naidu published a book about dyslexia. And there was a lot of research that came along with that book that helped parents and educators about dyslexia. The federal and state laws for dyslexia are the laws of the Americans with Disabilities Act. This law supports learners with dyslexia and gives them rights and supports that they need for learning. In the IDEA law, the Individuals with Disability Education Act law, this law gives all students with dyslexia and all learning disabilities a free, public, appropriate education. So all students are able to go to school. They can afford it. It's free. It's appropriate for them. And when students are in public school, this is great because they are able, when they have dyslexia, it is actually number 14 on the list. And it is a special learning disability. This enables students to have an individual education plan, which this plan is tailored to the student. So if the student is struggling in certain areas, they will get support and help in those specific areas just for them. Another good resource that students have in the public schools is sometimes students need a little bit of extra support, and they can have a 504, which gives them a little bit of support. It's not an individual education plan, but it does offer supports for students who need them. I'd like to also talk about instructional and intervention strategies. There are high-low books, and I just learned about this myself, but high-low books are really cool for students. They focus on books that students are interested in, but they are not written in a more challenging, harder way for students to understand. They're written in an easier language for them, and they're able to read them and still get the core information and still enjoy reading and still read what they want to read. So I would definitely say that high-low books is a great strategy. Audiobooks is another strategy. for dyslexic learners who want to do well in school, who want to learn the material and course material, but they're struggling and it's just so challenging for them that they want to give up. But an audiobook gives them the chance to learn a lot of information and they can listen to it again and again. I also wanted to mention that with the strategies for supporting learners with dyslexia, you can provide multisensory activities. So there can be other ways of learning. It doesn't have to just be reading a text and decoding words and spelling words and reading comprehension. It can be active, fun, engaging learning activities and different kinds that use all different kinds of senses. And another great way to help learners is to break things up. From what I'm reading with so many learners who have dyslexia is that what they do is they break things up into pieces and they just take one chunk at a time, and then they are able to understand their learning, they're able to comprehend it, they're able to read it, and they just take breaks and they just do it chunk by chunk, piece by piece. Another great thing to help them, that actually takes away their anxiety and their stress, which I thought was wonderful too for them. I also wanted to talk about resources for parents and teachers and anyone who has dyslexia. There is in a wonderful book, Dr. Sally Shaywitz. She's a world expert with reading and dyslexia, and she shares her book. There's testimonies from families, from people with dyslexia, from adults and from young adults and older adults. There's stories of success. There's exercises to help strengthen your brain. There's new information on how to identify dyslexia in all age ranges. The diagnosing it and the evidence with the technologies, the schools. And she even goes in to talk about, what schools you should go to and what colleges you should go to. She talks about that. She talks about challenges with people who are faced with dyslexia, the challenges. And she just talks about all these evidence-based approaches, which this is an outstanding book. I'd like to read it myself. She is a world expert and she knows so much about dyslexia with so many years of research. So I would highly recommend this book. The Yale Center for Dyslexia and Creativity, Overcoming Dyslexia. The Yale Center for Dyslexia and Creativity, they have different articles about dyslexia. I've read a few myself. One is Overcoming Dyslexia. They have the strategies, they have supports, they have information. This is a great resource. And I just thank you for listening today to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day.